Hello, and welcome to Morning Motivation. I'm your host, Dakiana Jackson, small business marketing coach and founder of Inspired Marketing, Inc. I'm excited to share a new podcast series that I'm doing. It's going to have 5 episodes, including this one, and it's called How to Reduce Overwhelm in Your Business. Here's a quick overview. This episode 1, is called Identify What's Stressing You Out. Before we can talk about reducing overwhelm, we have to understand what's stressing you out in the first place. That's what we'll be getting into a little bit later. Next time, we'll talk about managing your online reputation, just knowing what's being said about you and what you can do about it. Then we'll get into how to be comfortable with pricing your services and asking for money. I know that can be scary sometimes. Episode 4 is all about building more time into your schedule. And then our final episode in the series is all about your New Year goals. We're going to revisit them. We're going to see if they still make sense. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to build momentum, even if you've fallen off a little bit. And then along the way, I'll also be introducing some recommended tech tools to make running your business easier. Let's get into the heart of episode 1, identifying what's stressing you out. As business owners, we can be pulled all over the place between client work, between admin work for our own business, between working on new ideas and programs and services, between family, friends, other personal obligations, sleep, if you can get some. All of those things can be a source of stress. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about 5 different things that may be causing you some stress or some anxiety or just plain frustration. The first one is a lack of systems and processes. A lack of systems and processes. One thing businesses should have are SOPs. That stands for Standard Operating Procedures. So those are those processes that are for everything that you do in your business. For example, when you onboard clients, there should be some standard thing that you do from initial contact, setting up those appointments, delivering the service, receiving payment, and even beyond that, the customer service for someone who is no longer your client or someone who may be in the middle of a coaching cycle, for example. They're not exactly new, they're not at the end, but you all are still working together and there are still processes and procedures that you should follow. And it's not enough to have a standard operating procedure, but you need to have this written down somewhere. Or if you're not big on writing things down, perhaps do an audio or a video of what a certain task entails. For example, onboarding a client from initial contact all the way until your first appointment. What steps need to be done? Now, this is important because if you ever want to hire someone to take over certain portions of your business, they need to know what to do. They can't rely on what's in your head. And it's also good to write things down because we can identify if there's any inefficiencies in our process. For example, when you get a new client, what are the procedures from that initial contact all the way until the service is provided? If you go through that and you notice that sometimes there's text messages, sometimes there's DMs, sometimes there's emails going back and forth to set up the appointment, you may recognize, you know what? This is not really working. Maybe I should invest in a calendar system or an appointment setting system so that I can send everyone to one link, set the appointment, and be done. But you may not realize that's something you can do because you have not taken the time to step back and examine your processes. And really, with the tech tools that we have available to us, there should be no reason that you should be going back and forth via email about setting up appointments, or even when it comes to asking for money. You should not need to go and create PDF or other manual invoices in this day and age. So I encourage you to take some time to think about the things that you do in your business. It doesn't have to be the onboarding client process. It could be the taking payments. You may find that you do invoicing, you may have a software system, you may use a third-party processor, But just take some time and figure out what is the best way to get certain tasks done for your business. So for me, I hired a blog assistant last year and I had to come up with SOPs for how to post on the blog. Now, at first glance, that seems pretty simple. Here's an article, put it up. But no, just because it was simple to me, because I'd been doing it, really, I've had this blog since 2005, so pretty much forever, it was new to her. She knew how to work in WordPress and all that, but she didn't necessarily know how I like things to be. So I came up with everything from email scripts on how to answer potential authors to videos on how to post to the blog, how to do certain things within the system that I prefer done. And it was extremely helpful. We have a great working relationship now, and I think it started just because I was very clear on what I needed her to do. And she was able to deliver because, and she had clear tasks. So, again, pick one thing in your business and start writing down those standard operating procedures. The second thing that may be stressing you out is no delegation or trying to do it all yourself. I can completely identify with this. Like I just said, I hired this assistant last year. So I had been doing it all on my own or with contractors for years before that. And sometimes you don't know the help that you need until you get the help. It feels so good to go into my email inbox and see that my assistant has already answered emails, posted articles, and even flagged things that I need to follow up on. And now I can spend time on other things like recording this podcast. Now, if you don't know what to delegate, go back to that first thing we just talked about, those SOPs. You can start with things that you have to do but don't necessarily love doing. Write out the procedures for those things, and then when you look for help to outsource it, you'll already have a list of what the person needs to do and how they need to do it. Sometimes fear can make us hold on tightly to things in our business that it's okay to let go of. Now, I'm not saying hire someone and give them all your trade secrets. No, but there should be no harm in having someone do your social media content, for example. And there's also password tools and things so that you don't necessarily have to give a person direct access to all your passwords. And despite what you may think, you might not be the best person to do every single thing in your business. I know that might be hard to hear for some of you, but you are not going to be the best marketer, accountant, admin, etc. And that's okay. Even if you are capable at doing all those things, do you really have time to do all of them and all of them well? And then on top of it, coming up with new services and then delivering the services? No, that is stressful. It's okay to delegate. Start small and then work your way up to bigger things. And like I said, you're not going to know the value of the help until you get the help. Just try it out and let me know how it goes. So, the third thing that may be stressing you out is comparison, specifically comparing yourself to others. No one's journey is the same, and social media, as great as it is and can be, it also can cause some stress because you're only seeing someone's highlight reel. And it can be downright depressing, especially if you're in a place where, say, you may have lost a client or you may not have gotten a project that you wanted. And you get online, you start scrolling, and everyone is talking about their wins. New client, new house, new car, new romantic partner, corporate client, $100,000 day, $1 million year, etc. And you're just sitting there like, ugh, my business sucks. It doesn't. It just means that, for one, you're only seeing what people want you to see, which usually is only the good stuff. And two, you have no idea what they did to get to that $100,000 mark. They may have been working for 10, 20 years, and you're just now hearing of them. Rather than comparing yourself to others, compare you to you. Are you further along than you were when you first started your business? Have you served at least one client? Celebrate that. And then also stop being surprised when people buy your services, especially when you're clearly an expert. I remember I had a friend tell me this. I was talking to her about how a new person had come to me. They wanted to work with me. They were super excited to get started. And I was surprised, like, oh my gosh, they want to work with me. And she was like, ma'am, you're surprised that someone wants to work with you on this thing that you're good at and have been good at for over a decade? Really? So I'm going to say the same thing to you. Stop being surprised. You are an expert. You got into this business for a reason because you know what you're talking about. So, yes, you can be delighted, you can be happy, you can be excited because you want to work with these people, but don't be surprised. You know what you're doing. This is also important if you are completely new in business and you haven't served one client yet. You still have a foundation that you're building your business on. There's something that happened, either a personal transformation, some education and credentials that you have that qualify you to do what you do. Stand on that. Stop comparing yourself to others. Number 4, money. And in this case, I'm speaking about pricing your services. You're not as confident in your pricing, and it shows. It shows up in your pricing being too low. It shows up in you being quick to offer free services, even if no one asks for them. And it even shows up when you state your price and then immediately go into discounts and payment plans and ways you can accommodate the client before they even said anything. I used to do this every time I would announce my price. Someone would say, okay, well, what's the investment? And I would say, it costs XYZ, but if that's too much, I do have a payment plan, or we can even take some services off to make sure it fits into your budget. Did I know their budget? Nope. Did I even give them a chance to say the price was too high or the price was just right? Nope. I was so scared of the no that I tried to get ahead of it, which only hurt me because I could have had someone who was super excited to work with me, and by my lack of confidence, I was turning them off. Because if I'm not confident in what I'm offering on the pricing side, can they be confident that I can deliver the service as well? Maybe, maybe not. Another consequence of not being confident in your pricing is that you cannot solely focus on delivering the best possible service to your client. Yes, you want to serve them well, but you also have bills to pay. And if you undercharged, you likely did not charge them enough to pay those bills that you have. So now you have to divide part of your time to getting new clients. You need that next project to sustain yourself. That's why it's important to not only be confident in your pricing, but also be able to set the prices that the market will bear, but will also sustain you. Another part that people may be stressed out about related to money is getting clients to pay. Ideally, you have a process in place where you can invoice them or collect their payment information, perhaps even before you are off the call where you've closed the sale. But there are times where you may send out an invoice and the client does not pay right away. You have to be okay with asking for what you're owed. And there are different tech tools that can help you with that. If you're nervous to say call someone up or send someone an email, I mean, it's money that you're owed, but I know sometimes it may feel like we're bothering someone. Or we may jump to an extreme and say, okay, they didn't pay, I'm going straight to legal action. But there are some steps you can take in the middle. Money does not have to be something that stresses you completely out. Lastly, you're worn out. Number 5, again, you are worn out. It feels like you have to be on 24/7. Now, I know when you may go online and you see other business people, it feels like they are always on the computer or the phone. They must be. You're seeing podcasts, blog articles, emails. social media, whether it be video, audio, pictures, text. You may even be getting text messages from them. It feels like they're always doing something. And when you see that, it feels like you have to do the same thing, but you don't. You do have to be consistent, but do not wear yourself out trying to do what you see everyone else doing. If you go back a couple steps and we were talking about comparing yourself to others, you don't know what team they have behind them. We talked about delegation a little bit earlier as well. This person that you may be comparing yourself to, who seems like they're on 24/7, may have a full team of people who are posting things for them, who might be writing their content, even recording for them. You don't know. You don't have to do the same thing that they're doing. Now, there are some things that you can do that we'll get into in some episodes later that will help you streamline some of your content. And again, it's about being consistent and what consistency looks like for you and for those you serve. Is if you're worn out, you cannot perform the services that people have hired you to perform. And you may start to feel burned out and just not excited about your business. I mean, if it feels like a job, like something that you dread. I know you've seen all the memes about, oh, I hate Monday. I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, you set your own schedule, so you don't have to hate any day of the week. If you set it up right, every day can be what you want it to be. But if you are worn out, thinking you have to do everything, thinking you have to be online 24/7, even thinking that you need to be accessible to your clients 24/7, you will burn out. And I would like to say that last part again. You do not need to be accessible personally to your clients 24/7. There may be things that they can do, like if you have something pre-recorded, they can listen to that. If you have a chatbot on your site or an email contact form or some messenger service, they can contact you there. But you don't personally have to be accessible because you will be stressed out, worn out, and not able to perform. And that is not where you want to be. So to recap, we talked about 5 things that may be stressing you out and also some things to help combat that. Number 1, lack of systems and processes. Number 2, no delegation, trying to do it all yourself. Number 3, comparing yourself to others. Number 4, money, both pricing and asking for what you're owed. And then number 5, being worn out, thinking you have to be on 24/7. I'm excited to help you work through these issues in upcoming episodes. This podcast series, again, is called How to Reduce Overwhelm in Your Business. This has been episode 1, Identify What's Stressing You Out. And if you've heard something in this episode that you'd like me to address in the future, again, we talked about systems, processes, delegating, comparison, money, and being worn out. Feel free to leave a comment or send me a message, and I'll make sure to address it in one of the future episodes in the series. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
This has been Dakiana Jackson with your morning motivation. If you need help marketing your business, or even just a little motivation to keep going, contact me at www.inspiredmarketinginc.com. Until next time, have a blessed day.